Today, I am sharing the watercolor supplies that I love to work with. After decades of painting, I have narrowed down the tools that work best for me and I have found are working beautifully for my students. From your palette to your paper to the brushes and pens that I use for my quick sketch paintings, I'm showing you in this video what I use and will explain why. So whatever your subject, from water scenes to canyons to flowers to portraits, you can paint just about anything with this set of supplies in your studio and take it with you around the corner and around the world to paint. I hope this helps you as you decide, what you need. Maybe you're just starting out or you've already got a select set of supplies and you might decide you want to add a few things from what I recommend. So I can't wait to see the beautiful paintings that you create, those that are just waiting inside of you to get onto paper. Thank you so much for sharing a part of your creative journey with me.
Okay, let's go through my supplies and I'll take you through what I use, my paper, my palette, the works. Now I use Daniel Smith watercolors and I've got another video so you can see how I put the paint in the palette. That is a very important step. Let's see, there's my palette. Now this is a yellow palette, MIJELLO, and it runs anywhere from $8 to $12 at most art stores and online. I've taken it out of the box so you can see it, and I'm going to show you. I love this palette because it's very sturdy. And also, when you open it up, see, all the paints are on one side of the palette. So if you close it, you're not going to drip into the other side. Now my paints are in the order of a color wheel. I also have warm colors on the left and cool colors on the right. Now, oops, your paint has to be dry to the touch when you start using it. If you're going to travel, please get it dry before you leave. I love a fresh, clean palette. Now, if you fill your paint and then move it right away, it'll be wet and make a mess. So like I said, make sure it's completely dry to the touch. And you'll be able to paint anything from portraits to landscapes. This extra little plastic piece is great. You can put extra paint on it. You can mix on it. Another thing is make sure you use a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser on the surface to make sure it's dry. I like how this closes so it's solid and it stays shut. It doesn't squish down when you're traveling. Now the papers I'm using that I want to share with you are all Fabriano. And this is a manufactured cold press watercolor, 140 pound. Now it's not cotton. It's fine for practicing maybe, but I really don't recommend it. But it's still better than Strathmore or some of those beginner watercolor pads. It's still better than those. And so I'll show you what I use in my quick sketch classes for many of my demonstrations. That is coming next. This is the Fabriano 25% cotton, and it's 140 pounds, 300 GSM. Don't worry about that. It's the pounds that matter. Note it's 25% cotton. Now this has a nice smooth finish, and it really works great for a quick sketch. I often buy the larger pad and then tear it down to size. So that is easy to give me some options. And it's fairly inexpensive. When I'm painting a real painting, something that isn't quick sketch, those are real paintings too, but when I'm doing maybe a portrait or a landscape, I'm using this Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton. And it does have improved color lifting. It's wonderful to work in. I use a pencil to draw with instead of a pen on this. And you can create beautiful paintings. Now the sizing here is, there's something about the surface that makes it easy to lift the color. But like I said, the Fabriano 25% cotton is fine. Especially, when you just get started, it's much less expensive than this Fabriano 100% cotton pad. This is a block. This is my all-time favorite paper. And this is a 300-pound soft press paper. I want you to see this is 140 that I just bent, and this is 300. Now, you can only buy that by the sheet, 30, usually 30 by 22. It is amazing for portraits, for big paintings. This is what I usually grab when I have a really important painting to do. What's nice about it, it's 300 pounds, so it's twice as heavy as the 140 pound, a little bit more than twice. And it's amazing to work on, easy to lift. The paint floats on the surface. Now, I also want to show you just one of my basic sketchbooks. This is a Canson sketchbook, and as you can see, it's 140 pound. It's not the expensive paper. It's more like that 25% cotton. I use it for studies. I use it for color mixing, and I'll be sharing some of this with you as we go forward. Here's one of my quick sketch paintings. So that's Canson, and it's fairly reasonable. I think I bought this one at Dick Blick. Now, you may have Jerry's Artorama or Cheap Joe's. Those are great. This is an American Journey sketchbook that I just ordered from Cheap Joe's, and it was pretty reasonable. I'm going to give that a try, and I will share how it goes. I may take this one to Spain and paint in that. I really like the spiral. It makes it easy to open up, and it has a nice hardbound cover. Now, if you can find an Arches or Fabriano watercolor journal, those are amazing. I've been painting in those for years. But I have a random selection of watercolor journals, and I enjoy all of them. I like experimenting with different papers. Now, this is a gessoed art board. If you were painting in oil or acrylic, that is handy to use as a backboard for your watercolor paper. And so what I do is I'll put it down and then tape it down. And what you need is a non-porous board so that the water doesn't get absorbed into the board, and then it takes longer for your painting to dry. I like these because they're white. the, was it gator boards? Gator boards are fine if you can get the narrower, maybe 1/4 inch gator board. Now the back of this is melamine, and I could use that if I put a varnish on it to make it so it's glossy and won't absorb the water. There we go. That's decoated. Now the tape that I use is a fine artist tape, and this one is from Dick Blick. Now I have a Dick Blick near where I live, so that's why I'm getting those there. But if I was somewhere else, I'd go there for good artist tape. Now what's important about the fine artist tape is that it doesn't tear your paper like masking tape does. I've ordered masking tape by mistake and it's dangerous. The blue tape, painter's tape, is fine. It's just kind of distracting, so I like the white. There we go. Now let's talk about the brushes. You need an amazing brush to work with the paints. And I use the Dynasty Black Gold 311 Quill watercolor brush. It comes to a point, it's easy to manage, and I've been using this basic brush for over 10 years and recommend it to my students. It runs about $15, $16 maybe on the website. If they are out of them when you go in to purchase, just get on the back order list and pretty soon you'll hear from them saying that the brushes are in. Another size that is nice to have is a 2 or a 0. I like to have a variety of sizes. Now, if you can't find those, for some reason, you need to go get a brush today. The Ultrek brush, Ultrek 228 Sablette in a 10, a 12 it's a pretty decent brush. I don't like it as much as the other one, but it's pretty good. And you'll see mine is a 4. My quill brush is a 4. And this round brush from Ultrek is a 10. And that can be confusing when you're buying brushes because how do you tell which size do you want? And so just know that a round brush is size different than a quill brush. Now this one's called a Sablette to make it seem like it's like sable, which is very expensive. But both of the brushes are synthetics and they're great. So like I said, this little Ultrek is fine to work with. I pick up brushes everywhere I go. This is one I picked up in Florence. And see, it's got nice bounce. That's what I look for in a good point. What row was that? That was a cute little art store in Florence. And there it is next to my size 4. So, you're looking at a size 12 versus a 4. The rounds are sized differently than the quills. Let's see, pencil. I like a mechanical pencil because I can get a nice clean line. I put a kneaded eraser on the end so I don't forget. Now the point on a mechanical pencil makes a pretty clean line. And you just pick them up at the office supply store. It doesn't have to be anything special. Remember to use the kneaded eraser, put it on the end so you don't forget, and use the pencil eraser. That'll bruise your paper. A kneaded eraser looks like this. And you just kind of pull it and work with it, knead it a little bit, and then it'll go on the end of your pencil pretty easily. I find that's the best place to put them. All right, and now I'm sharing the pens that I use for my quick sketch. This is the DAINAWY microline pen set. And I really like the range of sizes that you get with this set. It is waterproof, permanent, fade proof. They're great. I got this on Amazon and I've been pretty happy with it. Now, your pens will not last forever. This is a Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pen, and it's a good choice. I've been using these probably for 20 years. I have to buy new ones every so often because they only last so long. Now, I like the fine, the small, the extra small. They're all pretty good. And the brush is kind of fun if you're going to do a little bit of calligraphy. You can get it in other colors such as brown and sanguine. Water spritz bottles are important to have, and you really only need one. The Holbein spritz bottle is probably my favorite. It's nice and small, and it has a wonderful spray that's fun to use when you're painting. This is a gigantic spritz bottle that I bought on Amazon, and I honestly tend to use it to clean off my desk. It's not my favorite for painting. The Holbein spritz bottle is great. This tiny spritz bottle container is from a beauty supply store, and I think I bought 20 of them for $6 online. And I haven't tested this one out, but I think it's a good one if you want to go really small. Okay, my favorite thing to share with you are my water containers. I collect them on my travels. This one is from Portugal, and it's just a fun thing to add to your collection. You can always use an empty yogurt container. My masking fluid is the fine line masking fluid, and I like the way I can use it almost like a pen. It's got a nice fine point, and then when you're done, you can put that fine needle in there. This gives you the tiniest detail. Little highlights, eyelashes, fine lines on boats. It comes in really handy. The Mr. Clean Magic Eraser without soap. Make sure that you only use the kind without soap. The kitchen and bath have soap in them. And I use the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to lift paint, to clean my palette. It's changed my painting life because you can do so much with it. It's fun to use it for stenciling too. And somewhere along the line, you might pick that up from me as the stenciling, the lifting, the erasing. I usually carry a piece of it, a few pieces of it with me in my bag. Okay, another thing that comes in very handy is paper towels. And if I'm traveling, I just pick up napkins, or I even use a chamois, which I'll show you in a minute, but you can use it to clean off your brush. Primarily, that's what I'm doing with it, to manage the water on my brush. Now, another option can be a chamois. This is one I got at Trader Joe's. You can use it and reuse it, wash it, and bring it back. This is a rubber cement pickup that I use with my masking fluid. Look, I found my sanguine pen. I'm taking out the extra squirt bottle because you really don't need that. Now let's clear this away. And this is basically what I take on a trip. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. I've got my sketchbook, my chamois, water spritzer, not the big one, just the little one. Some kind of water container. I wouldn't take ceramic, but a little squishable doggy bowl works. Couple of pens. You always need at least two brushes, at least two pens, because sometimes you lose one. It falls into the river. You drop it somewhere. There's my paint. And see, all that can fit into a small bag. There's my Mr. Clean Magic eraser. See, it's not that much. Oh, I need the pencil too. I hope I grabbed that. A smaller sketchbook will actually make it easier for you to paint if you don't have too big of a sketchbook. And what you'll find is that the less you take, the more you paint. So keep it simple when you're traveling, when you're in your studio, go for it. You can have everything all around you, maybe a blow dryer. Oh, this brush, I hadn't mentioned, it's actually in my Brush Guys teacher recommendations. It's called a cat's tongue or oval, and I don't use it very often in my workshops, but if I'm doing a large painting, it's really great to cover a big area. So I just wanted to mention that. There will probably be other things that come up as I'm teaching, but those are the main supplies that I use. You can always use the supplies you already have and substitute. Eventually, you'll pick up some of the colors. Oh, one more thing. Something I really like to have handy for signing in white, the Signo Uniball white pigment ink pen. And this is great for just a few little details that maybe you want to capture, and it's hard to do it with your brush. So that's one more thing that I like to have in my supplies. It usually runs about $3, and you'll often find it up at the register. So let's bring the palette back. I'm so excited for you. There's nothing like a new palette or just taking your current palette and cleaning it up. You can drop it in the sink and soak it and move paints around once it's dry. If you need to, those colors will pop right out when they're dry. Remember this Fabriano pad. That's pretty good, easy to work with, and very reasonable. This is the 25% cotton. Let's see, what else can I bring up? My favorite paintbrush, a pencil with an eraser, and that'll take you a long way. Just the basics, and then build up on what you need. Remember, when you're traveling, less is more. Less is more. When you're at home, use as much as you want. But the sooner you get down to one palette that has the colors that you really love, and find a brush that works for you, and the pencil setup, it just makes everything go even better. And that's where I want to take you to, even better, easier. I want to help you find a way to make your paints flow, your drawing flow. It can be a wonderful way to spend your time. So I hope you don't mind my voiceover. I recorded this live and then got some weird feedback, so you just get me doing a little voiceover. Thank you for watching, and I hope you find all the supplies you want. And you can always email me if you have any questions. Thanks for joining me and sharing part of your creative journey. I'm so fortunate to have such wonderful people to paint with, and you'll find that too. Everyone in my group is so supportive and positive. It's why I do this.